Now we're nearing the halfway mark of the Uganda Premier League. Express Football Club takes on Uganda Revenue Authority in a mid-table encounter this weekend. We'll as well discuss how Vipers could remain top of that when they take on Maroons. Also, Ugandan Joshua Cheptegei is on the verge of making history should he be crowned as the Male Athlete of the Year at the World Athletics Awards that come up this weekend in Monaco. To stay in Europe, Jose Mourinho is back in the English Premier League, and of course, he's already been subject to debate, but he'll be at Tottenham Hotspur. His first task away at West Ham United on Saturday. The big encounter, though, is between Manchester City, who hope they can close the gap between them and league leaders Liverpool as they entertain Chelsea at the Etihad. Also in Europe, Manchester City will be back as well, but the big clubs are seeking points to be through on match day number 4 in the UEFA Champions League. We'll tell you the permutations in Group H. Barcelona host Borussia Dortmund. PSG are in Madrid. Welcome to the Just Darren Show, powered by Betway.
Betway's Fort to Score is back and better than ever. Play our weekly soccer predictor where you can win your share of an amazing cash prize each week. Simply choose the first goal scorers in 4 selected matches and submit your selection before the first match kicks off. Entry is free, and if the prize isn't won, it'll roll over to the following week. Bet your way with Betway.
Now, there are only 8 fixtures left to wrap up the first half of the Uganda Premier League this season, and as we speak, Vipers has set the tone with 33 points from 14 games that they've played. Now, even if they suffered defeat to KCCA in their previous encounter, losing a 0-0 in Lugogo, there is still hope that Vipers can still go on and add to the silverware that they've already picked over the last decade. Now, as we speak, they have 33 points and they look pretty comfortable at the summit. And with the fact that KCCA dropped points against URA at home on Wednesday implies that they still have at least a tighter grip on one end of the trophy. But of course, Express Football Club on the other side now down in 9th position as we speak, hoping that they can move up the charts. And the way the things look like, they do have one fixture left where they do take on Uganda Revenue Authority on Saturday, hoping that the coach George Simogere can pick a 3rd straight win away from home. Well, Express, in the last 5 matches they've played, they've won 2 matches away from home. They've lost 2 at home, and of course they've managed 1 draw, hoping that they can maintain the form that has seen them pick 7 points on the road in the previous encounters. Of course, the men to rely on have been Frank Senyondo, Frank Kalanda, and Disan Galiwang, who actually netted a brace in Fort Portal for them to defeat Toro United by 2-1 last weekend. Of course, they still work to do for Express, improvement on the squad. However, the pressure has ceased as we speak because they do have 17 points from the 14 games that they've played, and that is down to the 5 wins and 2 draws that they've had so far. On the other side, for URA, who are just a point behind Express, well, the coach George Simogere says, the coach Sam Simbo says they've been undone by the high number of draws that they've had, 7 to be exact, out of the 13 matches that they've played. They've only managed 3 victories, and of course the goals have been quite scanty for them. Saidi Kyeyune and Cromwell Rothomio getting the goals for them thus far this season, but they hope they can add on to their tally and probably wrap up the first round on a high. For Express, they've already hit at least targets that they set at the start of the season, and of course there will be more work in the last 15 games left to wrap up the season for them. That is at Wankurukuku and away from home. But of course, Vipers on the other side on Friday first do take on Maroons, hoping that they can remain top of the charts. And of course, KCCA does take on Chetume as well on Saturday, with other fixtures later on to come between now and December. And of course, be sure that they can finish at least on a high. I fancy them, especially with their recent form away from home. I believe that they can be able to pick up something when they get to Nambole on Saturday.
Jimmy really likes hard work. Really. It's how he gets better at what he does. It's how he learns. It's how he impresses people. And it's how he knows United are worth it this weekend at 3.2. Oh yes, Jimmy really likes hard work. Because hard work sometimes pays off.
Now, of course, as Express hopes to consolidate a place in the top 10 in the Uganda Premier League, other Betway family members, including the Betway Cobs, who managed to win the Uganda Cup last weekend, beating the Heathens 15-14 with a late kick that came through from Ivan Chiraba for them to steal it at the death with a few minutes left on the clock. But also, let's talk the other disciplines, including athletics, because Joshua Cheptegei is on the verge of making history as probably Uganda's greatest athlete of all time, should he go on and win that crown and be named the Male Athlete of the Year at the World Athletics Awards. Now, to bring this down into context, the World Athletics Awards are more like the Ballon d'Or Award in football. It is given to the best athlete in athletics across the year, and for 2019, Cheptegei made it to the final shortlist. Only 5 of them have made it there, and is one of the 2 Africans on the list after he managed to win 3 titles at all 3 fronts of World Athletics this year. Now, he began by taking the title at the World Cross Country Championships, where he managed to exorcise the demons that did, of course, fall to him when he finished 30th in Colorado 2 years ago, by now winning the world title in World Cross Country on March the 30th in Aarhus, Denmark. What did follow? Cheptegei managed to return to track and won the 5,000 meter title at the IF Diamond League in Zurich, Switzerland on August the 29th, and what did follow was, of course, Cheptegei becoming the first male athlete to win a world title at the World Championships in Doha, Qatar, when he went on to take the 10,000 meter gold. Since then, he's gone on to be nominated for this award, and perhaps many think that he will turn out to be the greatest athlete of all time for the country, should he go on and add an Olympic medal next year in Tokyo. However, his feat this year have been enough for him to earn the nomination, and is the only athlete in the world to win 3 world titles at different fronts in the year 2019. Of course, at the World Athletics Awards that come up later on Saturday evening in Monaco, France, Cheptegei is up against 4 others, including 2 Americans, Sam Kendricks, who won 12 of 17 outdoor events that he took part in pole vault, including the world title this year in Doha. Not to forget, there is Noah Lyles, who's been the latest revolution in sprint athletics, and many have, of course, related him to the Jamaican great Usain Bolt. But he specifies in the 200 meters and won the world title in Doha. Not only, he also coupled with Christian Coleman, the 100-meter world champion, to win the 4x100-meter relay title in Doha. And of course, the other man to talk about is Karsten Warholm from Norway, who won the 400-meter hurdle world title. Of course, he was undefeated in all events this year. The shortlist was cut from 12 names and only left with 5. Cheptegei is a nominee for this particular award. Well, good luck to him, and we hope he does take that one this weekend in Monaco as he bids to become Uganda's greatest athlete of all time.
We're giving you the chance to boost your multi-bet winnings by up to 100%. To activate your boost, create your bet slip, check your boost, and place your bet. It's that simple. The more selections you add, the bigger your boost. Visit Betway online now. Betway, for the love of the game.
Now let's talk boxing, because heavyweight boxing has been, of course, subject to debate in the different corridors of the game across the world, right since Tyson Fury went on to defeat Vladimir Klitschko about 3 years ago. And of course, since then we've had names like names like Anthony Joshua, of course, Deontay Wilder, among a couple of other guys that have been in the arena for heavyweight boxing. But of course, there are bouts that are set to set the tone for 2020. 2 to go. There is, of course, one that comes up this weekend, that is between Wilder Deontay, the rematch between him and Louis Otz. And this one comes up at the MGM Grand Arena this weekend in Las Vegas. Of course, many have pitted Wilder to go on and do the same thing like he did last year when he went on to win in the 10th round via TKO, that many do call the technical knockout. Of course, but he's had a chance to win this one when he did recover from a knockdown, when he did go to his canvas in the early stages. But Wilder, eventually his power came through and he managed to win that one. And of course, as we speak, Wilder Deontay's record is now at 41 a draw and no loss in his career at the age of 34. And of course, looking on the other side for his opponent, of course, he's managed to recover with 3 victories since he lost out to Wilder Deontay. And as it stands, his record is at 31 victories in 34 fights. 2 are no contests, and of course 1 was the defeat that went to Wilder Deontay. Now, of course, this comes up this weekend. It's the big talking point, with many think that whoever wins this one will go on to take the victor between Andy Ruiz Jr. and Anthony Joshua, again, who are also having a rematch later on next month. So whoever wins here and next month, the two will go on to face off to see who becomes the face of heavyweight boxing, probably later on next year, as the managers bid to put the bout together. But for Wilder Deontay, we'll be hoping that he can defend the WBC heavyweight title that he's held on since 2015, and for 4 years he's been holding onto the mantle. Does he do the same thing? Now, of course, on www.betway.ug, the odds are available for boxing, quite a number of them, and for Wilder Deontay at 1.13, and that for Oriz Luis at 4.67. Of course, quite a bunch of bouts are as well available that you can as well go and bet on, including Florence Miguel, who's got his odd as high as 9.41, and for a draw and for the victory for his opponent, that is Santa Cruz Leo, at 1.01. You can't bet on boxing on www.betway.ug. Not to forget even cricket, because the second test between India and Bangladesh, Bangladesh touring India, of course, comes up this weekend as well. You can't bet on India winning that one for certain. I guarantee you India will as well be going on to win, like they did in the first test when Mayank Agarwal managed to score a double century in that one for India to win by an innings and 130 runs. You can't bet on cricket, you can't bet on the esports, you can't do the casino. The jackpot is back as well on www.betway.ug.
Betway's Fortune Score is back and better than ever. Play our weekly soccer predictor, where you can win your share of an amazing cash prize each week. Simply choose the first goal scorers in 4 selected matches and submit your selection before the first match kicks off. Entry is free, and if the prize isn't won, it'll roll over to the following week. Bet your way with Betway.
Now, of course, many punters were pretty bored with the international break last weekend, but the top 5 leagues in Europe are back, and it is the English Premier League, by the way, the hottest news. Jose Mourinho returning to the league, now with Tottenham Hotspur in North London. We'll be getting to that. And with my guests this time round, Edward Tumwine. Good evening and welcome to the show once again.
Pleasure to be back.
As well as Nicholas Kaganzi, man nicknamed Corn, and actually his jersey tells it all, from Manchester City. He's a Manchester City fan, and as well here for Edward, who is a Chelsea football fan. That's the pick of the fixtures this weekend, as Chelsea does visit Manchester City on Saturday evening. It is the big game, number 3 against number 4, and only a point separates the two. I'll begin with the team right ahead, that is Chelsea. Yeah. You travel away, head to the Etihad, 26 points on board from the 12 games that you've played, 6 wins on the bounce.
Yeah.
Anyone to stop you?
I think we're in red hot form. Since the season started, we've got a very good run. It's the first game that I'm going into, big game I'm going into, and I'm very confident of a good result, and I think we can get 3 points at the Etihad.
Possibilities, by the way, are very possible. By the Manchester City hosts Chelsea, as I've told you, and of course already this season City has dropped a game at home, and that was actually a 2-0 loss, shockingly, to Wolverhampton Wanderers. And now to you, Nicholas.
Yes,
Man City, they're just coming off a defeat. Normally they respond to a defeat. You take on Chelsea, 3 points in the bag.
It's a fixture that has always favored Man City in the last couple of years. I believe we could easily turn things around and get the win. I think the last time we lost back-to-back was last season against a Leicester side and then Crystal Palace. Then from that day, it was about Christmas. From that day on, we went on and won the league. So I think we could do that as well.
By the last season, Manchester City won 14 games on the bounce to be able to win the Premier League once again and retain the title. For Pep Guardiola, as we speak, of course, he's in a state of discomfort, what you would call uncharted waters where he is, because Man City are 9 points adrift as we speak. They're on 25 points. That is 9 points behind the league leaders, Liverpool. And actually, many are not looking at Leicester and Chelsea, who are in second and third. But the battle is still between Liverpool and Man City as we speak. But Chelsea's in there.
Yeah.
How have they made it there?
Everyone had written us off for this season, seeing that we were beaten badly in our first game, but I think our run of games has shown people that we are actually in for the title and we are playing very good football. I also believe Guardiola is in panic mode right now. He just lost to his biggest rival, Liverpool, and he would want to win this game fiercely, and that's why we're going to hurt him. Because we're in very good form, and I'm very confident this time.
That is the confident Edward from the Chelsea corner, by the way. Chelsea have got the talisman for them. That is Tammy Abraham. 10 goals to his name as we speak. The young Chelsea forward. And for Manchester City, of course, the man has been one. Sergio Kun Aguero. 9 goals to his name. Last season, Aguero punished almost every big team. Name it. Tottenham Hotspur, Manchester United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, and actually, last season, he had a hat-trick against Chelsea in a 6-0 victory. Does he do the same thing? Because he missed chances against Liverpool. Probably time to make up for this?
Well, when you look at the previous game against Liverpool, we really had a very good game, regardless of the goals. Yes, Liverpool was very clinical when it came to scoring goals, but it was a 50-50 game. We had chances, we missed chances. Now coming into the Chelsea game, we've always had the touch to score goals against them, and I believe we could do so.
Do you think that the players Raheem Sterling and Aguero can make up for what they missed at Anfield?
Well, I believe they can do. Well, we are seeing a very good Chelsea, but we are yet to see how it comes in. Like I'm talking about, if we test them, maybe if they're like 2 goals down, how can they respond? Because we've not yet seen it in the Chelsea side. Right now, they're still on that ride, a smooth ride, the kind of social ride last season.
Okay. Well, and it's actually likened Frank Lampard to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Manchester United. By the way, that's how United managed to secure European football last season after it was pretty bizarre for them, the poor start with Jose Mourinho. But still talking Manchester City taking on Chelsea. Chelsea, on the other hand, like I've said, you've had the youngster Tammy Abraham banging the goals. Of course, there've been some goals that have come in from Michy Batshuayi, talk of Jorginho in the midfield, Willian coming off the flanks, these pacey wing backs coming through, talk of Emerson, talk of Ricky James, all these players put together. Does Abraham have enough to test the City defensive partnership that has got Fernandinho and John Stones?
Given the last couple of games, the way Abraham has been playing, and also considering that's not City's first choice centre-back pairing, I think Abraham is good enough to score against them. And just like you said, the trust Lampard has put in our young players, Reece James, Emerson, we're playing very well at the moment, and if City comes with that form they had against Liverpool, I'm afraid we might hurt them.
Okay, and on www.betway.ug, the odd for Manchester City to win at home is at 1.43. Nicholas, you think you're taking the 3 points?
I believe so. I believe.
For Chelsea, it's at 6.80 on www.betway.ug. Would you still go for Chelsea to win this one away from home?
Never been more confident than today.
Really?
Yeah.
Chelsea can make it 7 wins in a row.
We can make it at the
and hit an odd 6.8.
We've beat them before. We can do it again this time.
Just to remind you, last season it ended 6-0 in favour of City at the Etihad. However, things are subject to change. Frank Lampard has actually showed us that it's not about defending, but it's about putting the ball in the back of the net. Chelsea can easily do that. Man City has conceded in times that many have least expected them to. and they've already dropped 9 points. They are 9 points adrift of the leaders, Liverpool. Liverpool do take on Crystal Palace this weekend. Liverpool plays before Man City, as well as Chelsea and all the other, and Chelsea. You think there's room for Palace to trouble them so they can drop points at Selhurst Park?
Yeah, when you look at the previous games before Liverpool, the Liverpool Man City game, there was a way they were struggling to hit top form. You would see they were winning in the dying minutes, for example, against Aston Villa. Then there was also a previous game before where they won, was it 1-0? You would see they were struggling.
Sheffield?
The Leicester game, where they had to secure a last-minute penalty.
Yes, there was Leicester, there was Sheffield, there was a draw at United.
Yeah, so you could see Liverpool is, yes, 9 points adrift, but there is no need to panic right now.
Okay, on www.betway.ug, victory for Liverpool comes at 1.46 and for a draw at 4.58. For Crystal Palace to win at home, by the way, they've had a really tough fixture. They've had to play almost all the big teams within the same period of time. Their odd at home is at 6.91. In the other games, they include Arsenal, who do take on Southampton at home, with Arsenal's odd at 1.51, and for Southampton at 5.96. However, staying in London, West Ham do take on Tottenham Hotspur, and it is the first game for this season for Jose Mourinho, former coach, of course, for Chelsea and Manchester United, now at Tottenham Hotspur. Edward, I'll begin with you.
Yeah.
What are Jose Mourinho's chances at Spurs?
The special one is back. Even as a pundit, he has always been echoing that he wants to get back into management. I think he will win a trophy, but I don't think he will do so much well in the Premier League. But it's good to have him back in the league. His pressers are always the best. And top 5, I give him in top 5.
Top 5? Spurs is now 14th. They visit West Ham.
Yeah.
Chance that they can pick those 3 points away.
Yes, they can pick those points away. They'll be motivated. Mourinho will come in and shake up the dressing room. He's very good with motivation. In the first season, he's very good with that. We have seen it with his previous clubs. He always does well in the first season. And being that he has been out of a job for a very long time, he'll want to impress Daniel Levy from the onset.
Interesting, and of course the odds would drop pretty much lower with the fact that it is Jose Mourinho. The odd for Spurs to win at www.betway.ug is at 1.95, and that for West Ham at home at 3.64 if they are to frustrate the new manager in North London. Now, of course, on Sunday, Manchester United do take on Sheffield United, and interestingly, Sheffield come into this one ahead of Manchester United. Gentlemen, Nicholas, of course, the noisy neighbours, as they are told. Yeah. United blows hot and cold. Do they win this one?
Well, it's a tricky fixture, given the fact that Sheffield are kind of being dark horses.
Yeah.
They're picking up points. There's the goalkeeper Henderson coming in with 5-6 clean sheets. It's wondering. That means they have some quality players in defense.
Yeah.
So I'll go for a draw. I see a United drawing.
Would you still go for the same thing, Edward, on this one?
I would say that Man United's performances these days are unpredictable. It's like they're playing bipolar football. One day they can decide to show up. Next day they're totally trash. But a draw. I see a draw in this game.
You see a draw in this game?
It's a draw for me.
Should I differ? Because Manchester United, to be honest, they blow hot and cold. You don't know when they are going to play. Well, they already threw in the UEFA Europa League, and the Europa League comes up next week. But I think it's time now Solskjaer try to begin collecting those points before they get into the crucial spell of December, where there's so many fixtures. These are games that United should be able to win, at least to move up the charts. But on www.betway.ug, for Manchester United to win this one, their odd is at 2.21, and that for a draw at 3.21. For a victory for Sheffield, it is at 3.49. And guess what? With Jose Mourinho back, to wrap up the Premier League, by the way, Jose Mourinho's Spurs do visit Manchester United on December the 4th. Guess what? It is also the same date set for Paul Pogba to return from injury. If you recall what happened between Pogba and Mourinho, you should be excited because that fixture comes up in just a matter of time. Well, gentlemen, special thanks for speaking to me. And I would just love to get your thoughts on the UEFA Champions League. Chelsea had a 4-4 draw with Ajax.
Yeah.
Do they beat Valencia away? next week?
I see a draw. I see a draw.
A draw.
They beat us at the bridge, and we want to counteract that. So we may play a bit more aggressively, and they will come. And so I see it's a draw.
You see a draw.
Yeah.
Manchester City do host Shakhtar Donetsk.
We're yet to pick a point to confirm qualification. I believe we'll have to do that next week. So I see them winning the game.
Nicholas Kaganzi here. Special thanks for coming to the Just Darren show, as well as Edward Tumwine. And good luck to you over the weekend. May the best team win. You both clad blue. Chelsea, I think, will be in either cream, orange, or white.
Or white.
Whatever they choose. Good luck to you, as well as Manchester City. The big games are across the board, including in the French league, where Olympique Lyon do take on Nice. And not to forget, in the other big games that you can't talk about, Napoli do entertain AC Milan. This is the Just Darren show. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll be discussing the UEFA Champions League.
Betway's Sport to Score is back and better than ever. Play our weekly soccer predictor where you can win your share of an amazing cash prize each week. Simply choose the first goal scorers in 4 selected matches and submit your selection before the first match kicks off. Entry is free, and if the prize isn't won, it'll roll over to the following week. Bet your way with Betway.
Now let's talk the UEFA Champions League, because the big teams do come back onto the continent. As I did tell you at the start of the show, it is match day number 4 across the 8 different groups. And of course, the pick of the fixtures, first, PSG, one of the teams yet to concede a goal thus far in the competition. They do take on, can I repeat?
Yep. 1, 2,
Made a mistake.
3. Action.
Now let's talk the UEFA Champions League, because it is match day number 5, and when we get to the big fixtures to talk about, we begin first in Group A, where the side that is PSG are in Madrid, where they do visit Real Madrid, a team that they managed to beat on match day 1, 3-0. Now Madrid with 7 points, that is 5 adrift of the leaders, PSG in Group A, hoping that they can overturn tables and win this one. However, PSG is yet to concede a goal as we speak in the tournament, and it is one of these big games that Zinedine Zidane would love to have the grip and at least confirm qualification to the round of last 16. For PSG, there isn't much to lose. However, for Thomas Tuchel to oil his unit and hope that they can keep grinding and pick at least a point, it will be quite vital for the side that is PSG. Real Madrid, in their previous encounters, 2 of them, they've managed to put 7 goals past Galatasaray, winning 1-0 away and 6-0 at home, including a hat-trick for the youngster from Brazil, Rodrigo, in the last encounter that they did play. But for Madrid in this one, they must win to close the gap between them and PSG. Now, of course, on www.betway.ug, the odd for Madrid to win at home is at 2.34, and that for PSG at 2.86. It pretty appears to be a close encounter with the odd at 3.66. Now, of course, when you move to the other different groups, in Group B, the first game for Jose Mourinho in the UEFA Champions League will be between Tottenham Hotspur, who do take on Olympiacos, and of course, hoping that they can as well try and close the gap between them and the group leaders that are Bayern Munich. Of course, when we move on to the other groups, moving on to Group E, moving on to Group F, that has got the side that is Barcelona, who do take on Borussia Dortmund. Of course, they host Dortmund, with Barcelona having 8 points and Dortmund on 7. Now, the first meeting between these two teams in the group ended goalless, with Barcelona actually missing a series of chances. And now Dortmund, in the previous match they played in the group, they needed to come from 2-0 down after 40 minutes to win 3-2 at home at the Signal Iduna Park in Dortmund against Inter Milan, while Barcelona was held to a goalless draw by Slavia Prague. However, Lionel Messi seems to be on form. He's banging in the goals, especially the free kicks, and it will be one to watch if Barcelona are to pick 3 points at the Camp Nou on Wednesday evening. To bet on this one as well, on www.betway.ug, the odd for Barcelona to win at home is at 1.64, and that for Borussia Dortmund at 4.85. The other games to look out for include Chelsea in Group H, who do visit Valencia. Now, of course, Chelsea played out an entertaining 8-goal thriller between them and Ajax Amsterdam. The odd for Chelsea is at 2.41 on www.betway.ug, and that for Valencia at 2.86. The other big games that you can't talk about, including Manchester City, who host Shakhtar Donetsk, the odd for City to win is at 1.20. And of course, several other fixtures to talk about in the UEFA Champions League. But of course, those are the picks on www.betway.ug. You can bet on all these encounters. The odds are ready and available on www.betway.ug. It is the UEFA Champions League. Not to forget, the UEFA Europa League as well comes up next week as teams hope to wrap up and seal their positions for the round of 32. Those fixtures come up as well next week on Thursday. And of course, it's been quite a long show, but special thanks for watching it. And of course, do not forget that the odds for every discipline are available on www.betway.ug. Just remember, it's just Darren.